So we're in the second stage. Basically, if you missed the first video, then what we're doing at the moment is we are essentially just breaking down, say, a 45-minute practice session into little video compartments, so that basically when you go to the range, you know how you should be structuring what it is that you're intending to do. The first part of the series basically was warming up. So we kind of watched George do a couple of little warm-up exercises, which you definitely want to do before trying to introduce quite an athletic movement if you're making a swing change. The second thing that we started to do was just kind of set a plan. So George was kind of hitting some shots in the video, because otherwise the video would have obviously been pretty boring. But the reality is that basically the first two stages of it are warm up and go in with a clear agenda as to what it is you're going to do. Now we're going to come back to practice obviously for reference to where we are now in the spring, and it will be completely different to what we're doing in the winter. At the moment we're trying to make a swing change, and therefore what we're trying to do is become as time management wise as we can, which basically means every opportunity, similar to what George is doing here, we're trying to make sure we're ingraining the position that we want to be in, not necessarily just hitting balls, getting into the position that we don't want to be in. So the point would be that you'd have warmed up and you know what you're trying to do. For those that don't know what you're trying to do, then I would suggest work on impact first, but more specifically pre-impact. So if you can just pause at pre-impact, the idea is that the hips should be as open as they possibly can be. As long as they stay downward facing, you'll find a capacity, and also basically the shaft should be parallel placed at this position. And depending on your body shape, physical limitations, you'll end up in a position which is best for you. Impact don't work necessarily just on impact because it's too messy to diagnose. Anyway, the second part to the series, unfortunately, isn't overly exciting this time. I would basically suggest now for the next 5 minutes, right? We won't necessarily watch George do the entirety of this, but for the next 5 minutes, basically what you would spend your time doing is just, in essence, doing slow motion swings. I think get a feel for it first. The reason why it's important to get a feel for it is that we're different every day. So that's kind of been proven from, should we say, like a neurology perspective, that's why I'm not too kind of keen on the idea of people holding on to swing thoughts and feelings, because unfortunately we are forever changing. So the point is, and I've done videos on this as well, what George will be kind of hopefully asking himself is the question is, every time he gets in towards this pre-impact position, is basically, is he moving to his capacity? The question would be, can he move any more? And that's basically what he's going to be doing. Now you'll actually find 5 minutes of this, yeah, it's hard work, right? So obviously you don't have to do 5 minutes in one sitting. Do 2-3 minutes, go and have a little bit of a break, and then do another kind of 2-3 minutes. But most definitely do at least 5 minutes of the right thing before you start hitting an excessive amount or any golf balls, because otherwise you're basically going to get lost. So short segments these videos are, just because otherwise I think if we do it in one large video, too much information will get lost, which is really pivotal. So you basically, by now, you'd have warmed up and you'd have set yourself a clear agenda as to what it is you're going to do. Like I said, we're trying to make a swing change, therefore we're starting at pre-impact, most logical place. And then basically from there we are just consciously, competently ingraining the pre-impact position in and spending time doing that before then we progress on to the next thing.